Happy Thursday to you, and I hope you're doing well. Just another evening with me, and thank you for stopping by. Wanted to share something that happened to my dad, and when he had his near-death experience, and share it with you. My name is Shelby, by the way, and I was born being able to see and hear into the spirit realm. I spent my life knowing Jesus, knowing God, having paranormal experiences as well, and I ended up being fully engulfed in the New Age for almost 6 years, doing readings, and really just got off the path of righteousness in the Lord. I also, fell into addiction as well. I had a pain pill addiction, and it really wreaked havoc in my life. And I about 5.5, 6 years ago, I was baptized and went back to the Lord, and I share my experiences in the New Age about the demonic, about the different things that I've learned and I know, and also just my life experience. So I hope you enjoy and take what feels right to your soul. I mean, I'm not here to try to convince anybody of anything. If you have to find it for yourself. If you don't, it's not real. We all have to find it for ourselves. But I want to share with you my dad's near-death experience. So my dad had cancer and in his lung, and so he had to have an L-shaped piece removed. And my brother and my sister and I, we all went, and we were waiting in the waiting room for my dad to get done with his surgery. They were trying to take all the cancer out to save his life. He was in there for a really long time. We were getting concerned because it was taking so long. We were sitting there waiting, along with other people that had loved ones in surgery. And you would look at this TV monitor, and it would literally show you, the patient, their surgery, and then when they would get out of surgery. So finally it was over. Somebody came down and got us and said that our dad was in the ICU, and usually they only let 2 people go in there, but they allowed the 3 of us to go at once. So when we got in there, my sister and my brother walked to the left in the room. My sister plugged her phone in. My brother went to talk to the doctor, and I walked up to the right and up to my dad's face. As soon as I got to his face, his eyes popped open, and he looked straight at me, and he said, "I was just in a room full of people getting wings put on." That's what he said. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. His eyes were as big as saucers. As soon as the doctor saw that he was awake, they, started talking to him and stuff. And so I didn't get a chance to talk to him about anything until he got home, which wasn't long because they sent him to this rehab center, at one of those old folks' homes. He didn't last but a couple days, and literally I went and got him and brought him home. I had, gotten my CNA, my certified nurse's assistant certification years and years before that, and they allowed me to take him home. So it was then that he told me the complete story. And so I'm going to tell you what he told me. And I really tried to ask every question I could think of to make sure that I got the entire story. So this is what he said. He said all of a sudden he popped in a room. He said it looked like a classroom, normal height ceilings in this room. He said he was floating off the ground about 3 feet. He was observing. Nobody looked at him. Nobody paid any attention to him. It was just like he was there to observe. He said there were bar stools lined up, and there were people sitting on the bar stools, and there were gigantic angels, and they were putting wings on people. He said these beings were huge, like 10 feet tall, And he said they were neither male nor female. They were just beings of light. And he said they were beautiful. And he said there was this bright light that was everywhere. It was really bright, but you could look at it, but no source for it. He said that these angels were literally putting these wings on people. And he said there were wings that were floating in the air as if they were waiting for somebody, the person, to come, get there to have them put on. Like there were wings flying around that belonged to somebody that wasn't yet there to receive them. And he said, and then all of a sudden he popped back in his body. He was back. And, we talked a lot about that. He would ask me, I could see him deep in thought about it. And he would say, do you think that was real? And I would say, do you? And he said, it was more real than this. He said it was so real. And my dad wasn't like a churchgoer. My dad, like the rest of us, had a past. He was wild, he was the kind of guy that, there was a train tracks near our house, between our house and our cousin's, and it was like this little hill. He literally jumped it with my brother and I in the car, and we literally took flight. All four wheels off the ground in his truck, Dukes of Hazzards type stuff. You know what I mean? He broke all four shocks on his truck that day, but he drank. He was a very, very handsome man. My friends all had a crush on my dad growing up. And, he did some stuff. I'm not going to get into specifics. Nothing horrifying. Just, he lived. He lived, and yet he went straight to heaven. We didn't even know he was a Christian, He didn't talk about it. In fact, he told me one time, he said, Shelby, not everybody wants to talk about it like you do. And he wasn't trying to be mean to me about it, but I'm compelled constantly to talk about God. And I know it when it irritates people, when they don't really want to hear me praying. I know when it bothers people. I'm compelled. I'm absolutely compelled to talk about it. It's ingrained in me. This is just who I am. But, he worshiped in a completely different way. We found several Bibles in that house after we left, and that's when I knew for certain that the Lord knows our heart, that he never expected that we were able to be a perfect person. He never did. It's unattainable in a human body. It's not possible. And so we don't need to worry about being perfect. But we have to know Jesus. There is no other way to God than through Jesus. And I will go more into the Bible and the things that I've learned and studied, but I just really wanted to share that experience with you guys. I think it's very important that we know that we don't have to be perfect. We don't. We just have to be the best people that we can every day, do the best we can, and say we're sorry when we mess up, We don't have to be perfect in any way. We just have to know Jesus.